third grade. At third grade, you can look at scores and to kind of determine the future.
Yeah, you can
Right.
determine the future from that. But you also know that, our focus on reading and just getting kids ready for kindergarten, by the time resourced kids get to kindergarten, they're fine. Under-resourced kids, they're at a 30 million word gap. And what that means is
Wow.
they don't have parents that are reading bedtime stories to them at night,
Yeah.
or just reinforcing, just having chats like we might have, or like any parent might have with a young child to
Yeah.
try to teach them language skills. They're not getting that because parents in some of our programs, they're dealing with daily survival. And that's the last thing that they can really focus on is, all right, kid, you're going to make it on your own. I got to go and make sure you've got food and a roof over your head.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're talking basic, very basic things. And what the Village of Promise does is serves as an ecosystem to try to make sure that the families have stability as they're trying to change the track and move on with their lives.
And that too is the absorption. So, sadly, you can't teach what you were not taught. And so, for the kids with that gap, it's they're just not hearing it. Their parents aren't maybe speaking on that level, and no judgment on that point at all. That's one of the big things about a village is that we meet people exactly where they are at.
Gotcha. The one thing that in preparing for this and doing research, I guess I naively assumed, like, okay, if you have a kid and they're going to eventually go to preschool or kindergarten, they'll be all right. They'll figure it out. But kind of doing this research, I realized, no, that's not necessarily the case. There's plenty of times, but it's, my youngest is 16 now. My oldest is 24. I don't really remember what it's like having these really small kids and like, what was it we did other than give them a good night's sleep and
Yeah.
something to eat where we read to them, I guess, encouraged them, they lost their teeth, tooth fairy, type stuff. And then they went to school. But I hadn't really ever thought about, unless it's just sheer neglect, right, which is likely happening in certain homes, right? Especially if people are on drugs and whatnot. Like, what really prevents that kid from even being able to enter into preschool or kindergarten? And I don't know. And that's just, I don't know if you guys could help me with that, or how often do you see that?
Well, what the Village of Promise does is we step into the breach to try to keep that from happening.
Gotcha.
The families that we come across, we find that some of them may be in poverty from no fault of their own.
Correct.
But have no idea
Yeah.
what resources are available to help them move their lives forward.
Gotcha.
And that's where the Village of Promise comes in to actually provide them with a picture of what's possible. And I think one of the keys, or as I've heard it called through one of our board members, the special sauce for what we do, is we've got a licensed social worker that is part of our Family Advancement Center. And when families come to us, they are asked, what do you want for the future of your family? And once we have that defined, we put it in what's called a family advancement plan. And then the job of the Village of Promise through the Family Advancement Center is to help families achieve those dreams. And, it's not like we are defining what the American dream is for a family. The family tells us, what is it that you want for your children, for yourselves? And then our job is to serve as the ecosystem to bring together the resources to help make that happen for the families.
Gotcha.
And success looks different for everyone. So if you are reaching towards your own goals, that's a part of what Dana was defining. You're more likely to reach goals if they are your own. And we are very fortunate to be a local nonprofit, so we can twist and turn and create programming if we need to meet people exactly where they're at.